Hey, Shomai, friend, how are you? Hope everyone's keeping well. It is lovely to see you. Welcome to the live stream. Please let me know if you're joining me this afternoon because Dom isn't here, as you can see. So it's just going to be me. We're going to be going through some nice little skills in Adobe Animate in this session. So please drop on the comments. Let me know who's there. It's nice to know that I'm not doing this on my own. Hey, how's it going? Good evening. You all right? Good on. Yeah, so as I said, we're going to be looking at some Animate today. I hope that everyone's Unit 3, Unit 1. I'm thinking of the old GCSE. Hope everyone's Unit 1 exam went well. That was last Friday. So if you're watching this back on the recording on YouTube, then I'm sorry about that. But yeah, I don't know how much I'm allowed to talk about the paper. Well, we all are. I'm not on the inside or anything, but I thought it was okay. Let me know what you thought. Hey, hi, Anthony. Thanks for joining. And hey, Joe, nice to see you. Thanks for joining, guys. Thanks for letting me know you're there and that I'm not on my own tonight. Yeah, let me know what you thought of the paper. I thought it was okay. You know, we had the heads up, didn't we, about which topics we should have a look at. Actually, I've had it on my wall there for the last few months. And I have to say, on the whole, it kind of stuck to it, didn't it? So I was just really worried we were going to get some curveballs and some scary questions from somewhere else in the spec. But it was nice. It was fair, I thought. Yeah, Anthony, very happy with the exam. Yeah, and it makes such a difference, doesn't it? Massive difference. Oh, I don't know about you guys, but I was just hopping up and down outside the exam, wondering what was going on inside, wondering if the technical side was all working or not. And then once I was able to get my hands on the paper to have a look, I was just straight in there. Like, what was this? So anyway, I think they've had a fair shot, haven't they? And that's all we want. Right. So what are we looking at today? Well, we've got this project. You guys are sick of seeing this guy now, I think, by now. See what Joe said here. Pupils mostly confident, some finish in 40 minutes. A couple use the full 90 minutes. Well, maybe those 40-minute guys, maybe they just super revised. Let's hope, Joe. Let's hope. Yeah, anyway. Yeah, but a couple use the full 90. Yeah, there was nothing there that I thought, oh man, we didn't go over that, because it did stick to that list. So thank you, WJC, for playing fair and keeping it straight down the line. Anyway, right, I don't know how much we're meant to talk about the exam, guys, so maybe I better stop. Right, so we're in Animate. I'm going to look at a nice little idea today, which is kind of incidental background animations. Oh, they don't have to be in the background as such, but kind of little touches that we can add into the background, which are fun to do. And again, this is something that I like to maybe do before I even get started on the character. I could see a discussion on the Facebook group or in one of the chats of the Facebook group. Oh, does anybody else? My mind is blown with chats within Facebook groups. It's like, I don't understand what Facebook is doing there. But I saw within one of the chats, within the Facebook group, somebody pulling their hair out about Animate. And I think, working in stages and building up the complexity of the actual animation skills is the way to go for me. And really at the beginning, we're not even animating right at the start. If you follow these videos, we're actually just starting off with just drawing within Adobe Animate, building up the scenes. And then the first few things we're going to do animation-wise, keep it nice and simple. So what we can do here is just have a look at a couple of ideas in terms of kind of looping animations. And we'll have a look at the motion tween as well, because I think we really kind of skimmed over that in an earlier video. Okay, so let's have a look here. We'll jump into my full screen. Okay, so as you know, my MO is always to start within a symbol. And it's something that I'm trying to train my students into this idea of you're going to draw something cool, draw it inside a symbol, because the alternative to that is that you're drawing it out here on your stage, on top of other stuff which already exists, and then you're trying to kind of select it to right click, convert to a symbol, and then maybe you're converting something else as well with it. And so whenever I'm drawing something new up, I always try to draw it into a new empty symbol. So the reminder of that, we're going to go to Insert, New Symbol. So some of my, I think it's just on a PC, I think it is just F8 without the, this is Command F8 on a Mac. So on the PC, a lot of my students now, they just use the keyboard shortcut for that because they do it so much. So instead of Insert, New Symbol, saying that, it's not a big deal, is it? Insert, New Symbol. But really get used to that. It'll save a lot of headache and muddle. Okay, so I'm going to draw a butterfly in this little example, this little quick example we're going to do. And I write it in Welsh because I love the Welsh word for butterfly. Well, there's two, isn't there, in Welsh? We've got Pili Pala, which is my favourite, but we've also got Iar Fach yr Haf, which means little hen of the summer, which is weird. There we are. And remember that we're using the graphic symbol. So we nearly always use graphic symbols. I never use a movie clip symbol, ever. And I'll only use the button symbols when we're making buttons, which we went over before. Okay, so everything for me is a graphic symbol other than a button. I can't actually think of a reason why I'd want to use a movie clip symbol at all. If anybody knows of a good reason to use one, let me know. Because they're actually a pain, because when you're scrubbing your timeline or watching it back, in the editor, then it doesn't actually play anything that animates within a movie clip symbol. You have to go to Control Test Movie in order to see it. So I can't see any good reason to use a movie clip symbol, except when we pause when we can pause our animation with the buttons. Say that you wanted to pause your animation and have something still moving even though you've paused your animation. That is the only reason you'd want to use a movie clip symbol, and I can't think of a reason why I'd want to do that in the first place. So yeah, but anyway, let me know in the comments if you use movie clip symbols instead of graphic symbols and why you think you would use a movie clip symbol. But I'm just a graphic all the way guy. All right, so let's go. Here we go. Here's my new symbol, and there's my top left crosshair. So as I always do, I'm going to just scroll, shift that up, and then I'm going to use the horizontal scroll to put that in the top left-hand corner. All right, so Pilipala, a papillon, butterfly. So I'm going to be using the fluid brush tool because I think the fluid brush tool needs more love. The fluid tool is favorite. So to access the fluid brush tool, we're going to go to the left-hand side, and it's this guy here. So there we go. I'm going to select the fluid brush tool, and I'm going to start off with the butterfly's head. So for now, I'm just going to go with a let's go with a grey for the butterfly's body. I'm going to be using object mode is on for me, okay? Object drawing mode is on so that I can tweak these objects separately, kind of the different body parts separately. If I left it off, any kind of overlapping paint to one big shape. There's pros and cons either way, but if you're unsure which drawing mode to use, I'd always default to object drawing mode on. Okay, let's go. So I'm going to go for it. I'm going to draw a nice butterfly head. So my fluid brush tool, as you can see, over in my tool, I just whack everything all the way up, the whole thing. And then the only thing I'll change is the size. Okay, so let's see. Is this going to be the right kind of size? Yeah, go a bit thicker. Okay, so there we go. There's my head. And then I'm just going to grab the paint bucket tool, fill that in. Back to my fluid brush tool. I'm going to go for the body this time. And just there we go. Lovely. Is it touching? Yes, it is. Okay, if it's not overlapping, then fill in a bit difficult for you. So make sure that your edges are overlapping. And now I'm just going to go to my free transform tool and maybe bring that into place. Squish it in a bit. There we go, something like that. What I like about the brush tool is that it humanizes the designs that you make, because you know we're drawing with a mouse, which isn't the most natural way to draw anything. And the fluid brush tool, you know, really kind of adds really cool tapers and edges, and it just looks hand drawn. You know, all that stuff just looks cool. So I'm a big fan of it. Okay. So got my head, got my body. Next thing then is I'm going to make some antennae. These things. Okay. So I'm going to bring down my brush size. Go. I'm just going to go woo. Oh, I'm saying this side. Wee. There we go. That's looking great. Like that. And next, I'm gonna change my paint color to white. Just zoom in. I'm gonna make some eyes. Okay, so here we go. I could use the paint bucket, but I'm just gonna keep on coloring it in. There we go. Change my color from kind of mouth color for the smile. Yay! And then I go black paint for the pupils. I'm going to leave that little gap in the middle there. Makes it look as if it's got a bit of reflection off the eyes. Works for me. It's pretty cool. Okay. So, yeah, I'm happy with that. The body's looking good. Body, head, antennae is looking good. So let's get on to the event. Wings. So, fluid brush tool. Bring down the size. I'm going to pick my kind of edge color now for the wings. I'm going to go for this pale blue. Okay, so I'm going to start with my first shape, and then I am going to join it up. Okay, I've joined it up there because I was going to fill this in. There we are. That works for me. I'll pick a different color for fill, I think. Go for this pink. Paint it. Fill it in. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to spend a bit of time working on the wing, because I'm going to duplicate this wing to make the other wing. Okay. So I'm going to spend a bit of time on this one. And I'm going to mess around with the gradient here, I think. Okay. To get some different colors. So instead of this solid pink, I'm going to go for some gradient. So if you ever want to use a gradient, that's all you need to do is come up to the top right-hand side animate, and you've got this color palette here. So click on that. And in here, you've got this kind of normal looking color picker, and you can choose the fill color in here. So at the moment, it's on a solid color. Okay. And you can change that to a linear gradient, a radial gradient, or a bitmap fill. So if you have kind of a picture with kind of iridescent wing gradients ready, you can use that to fill in your image. I tend to avoid doing too much of that because those file sizes are going to get bigger much quicker. Using colors, it all stays as vector drawing, so everything is kind of smaller and leaner. So if using older PCs, using things like bitmap fills are going to start taxing your machine quite quickly and speed up. Okay, so it's something we're going to look at in a later video, because I think it's something that hasn't had much attention and can add some real star quality to your animations, but maybe in certain places. I've seen really good examples of it being used in things like clothes. So everything will be quite flat color, flat colors as we've been doing in this animation. But then somebody's used a bitmap fill for just the kind of the denim in a jacket or something like that. And just that one little touch of a bitmap fill really kind of makes a difference, makes it look cool. But we can also do that with masking as well, which I think is a little bit easier on the machine. So that's something we look at in a later video. All right, let's press on then with this. So I'm up here, solid color. So I'm gonna go for a radial gradient here. Okay, so color starting in the middle and then going out in a kind of circular shape. So here's my radial gradient, and you can see, I think this is kind of the previous one I had. So the default is you'll have two color boxes, okay? And with this then, I can just click on the first color box and choose my first color. So this will be the middle color. So yeah, in this this butterfly, I'm gonna go for a nice yellow here. Okay, and then the outer color. So I just click on this color box, outer color, I'll go for a nice pink. So go in there, a nice pink. Now you could also add another color stop just by clicking here. There we are, and it's giving me another color stop. Okay, if you didn't want that color stop, you can just drag it off. What's cool about adding color stops is it actually creates a color which is exactly in between those two colors. So you can see that the color that's been created is exactly between those two colors, which is pretty cool. And then you can drag them. So you see if you want to kind of compress that first color, and you can see it gives you a little preview. It is tiny, but it gives you a little preview up at the top here. You can drag these, or you can compress the edge color, and then it'll make the yellow portion bigger. You see? You can also move your original two. So you could do this kind of thing. And that would give you kind of a hard stripe of that color. Yeah, like that. Okay. So you can really play around with where these color stops sit. I'm going to change that middle color to like a nice kind of teal kind of color, something like that. Yeah, lovely. Okay. Now, with that color picked, I can now go to the paint bucket and just click anywhere, and you see it'll apply that color. Okay, so I like that. That looks quite nice. So wondering where it works best. Works quite well right up at the top like that. Yeah, I think it works best kind of radiating from the center. Yeah, lovely. I like that. Now, whilst we're at it, I'm going to add a gradient to my pilipala, my butterfly's body as well. Okay, so I'm going to go up and I'll start a new. So if you wanted to keep this gradient that you got, because I did spend a bit of time, I can just click Add Swatches. Okay, and that now has been saved into my swatches there. Okay, oh, I've saved it twice. So now I can just start making a new gradient. So I'll just drag that off. So I'm going to go for the body this time. So I'm going to go for darker shades. Okay, yeah, here we go. Maybe into the grays, and then choose this one for green with some gray in it. Yeah, something like that. Okay, and same again. Gonna drop that in on my shapes here. Cool. You can see that the body is in front of the face. Ooh, the ledge there. So I can just use send back to move things around. Okay, so I could do right click, arrange, send to back, or the quickest way to do it is hold down Control, press the down button, and it's just going to push it back. Go. Okie dokie. So let's duplicate this wing. Okay, so I'm going to use the free transform tool. Wing, here it is. And I am going to just do Control D, okay, for a duplicate, or you could do right click, copy, right click, paste. Okay, I don't think duplicate shows up here. No. Okay, I think it is in the edit. No, it isn't. So yeah, it's Control D. There we go. Duplicates it. And then I'm going to do right click, transform, flip horizontal. There we go. So now let's bring that into place. Like that. And then I'm just going to push that back. So control down arrow until it goes into the back. Do the same with the other wing. Cool. Well, I'm really happy with that. I think it's really cool. And it didn't take me that long to make. And I think my students really enjoy making some of that. So what I'm doing now, you might be noticing, is that I'm bringing everything below the edge of this crosshair. Because when I'm animating, it is apt to crop to that. Okay. All right. So let's get this guy wiggling about. Okay, let's get him wiggling about. There's a lot of different ways you could get this guy to wiggle about, because these are they are separate objects. So I could just use classic tweens on these. Okay, but I think for something like this, it's what the asset warp tool was made for, really. Like really quickly rigging something up so that you can get things to wiggle without having to have too much control. Okay, the asset warp tool always slightly disappoints when you use it. So I'd never use the asset warp tool for something like rigging a character or an animal, you know, like a dog or something like that, because it does tend to kind of squish your character up and bend it out of shape and moves extra things you didn't want to move. But for something that's going to be as small as a butterfly, I think it's going to be fine. Okay, so the asset warp tool is probably the quickest way to do what we're trying to do here. Okay, so let me get the asset warp tool. So the asset warp tool is the push pin icon in your toolbar. Let me know in the comments, and have your kids used a lot of the asset warp tool this year? Is it something you've tried, didn't get much luck with, or yeah, let me know what your experiences are with the asset warp tool, because I think it's something that WJC would quite like to see. And again, that I am not any knowledge or anything. It's just I get the vibes that they quite like seeing asset warp tool being used. It's kind of maybe it's an example of maybe a higher skill. It's another tool that we're using. Yeah, let me know what your experiences are. Joe's come straight in. Yeah, all used it in their character's bone tool was a disaster. Oh, it can be, can't it? Yeah, the bone tool can be. Yeah, it's a biscuit. It's I have some funny stuff going on in the bone tool with some of my students. It would randomly swap body parts for other body parts. So one lesson that we'd have a character rigged, it looked great. And then the student would come back next lesson, open it up, and it would have replaced the whole character with all left legs. So the left leg would be a left leg, but the right leg would be a left leg, and the body would be a left leg, and the head would be a left leg. So it would just be a character made up of left legs. So yeah, that's something that one of those little gremlins that I'm trying to kind of work my way through. Anthony's in 50-50. Worked well in some cases, but not in others. Yeah, I think that's about right, really, with the asset warp tool. I think it's fine as long as what you're making isn't too mission critical. If you're animating something and you ask yourself, right, is this going to be okay if things are a bit wonky? If the answer is yes, then I think the asset warp tool is the way to go because it's so quick. If the answer is no, then the asset warp tool can be tricky. So, Joe, did you just kind of draw kind of a spread-eagled character and then just asset warp tool in and used it as a bone tool in a way, and just got it to kind of move the arms and legs around? Because I suppose that could work really well. yeah, let me know, Joe, how you used that with your characters, and how it actually did. Was it a bit wonky, or did they turn out nice? Or maybe don't tell if you don't want to know. Right. Okay. Let's get the acid warp tool going with this then. Right. So exactly that. Yeah. So just draw him spread eagle. Draw your character kind of spread eagle, and then acid warp tool in. Yeah, it's nice. I haven't tried it because I think I've found that it's the asset warp tool bends things in funny ways. I've not really attempted it with a character because I've just presumed it's going to not work very well. But maybe that's something we can look into. Joe, maybe you can join me next time if Dom's not going to turn up, and we can share your screen and show some stuff. That'd be awesome. Okay, right. Let's go. Let's get this going. So I've got my asset warp tool here. Okay, and then I'm going to click on my butterfly here, and it selects it. And I'm going to click again to add my first push pin. And you can see straight away that the kind of quality has decreased. I'll speak with you about that in a bit after doing this. So, right, what do I actually want this to do? So I'm going to kind of have that go to there in the middle. Okay, then I'm going to bring that up to the tip of the wing. And then I'm going to go, I want the next one to be down here. So I don't come on. So I'm going to click on this joint. There we are, and bring it to there. And then I'm going to do the same over here. Click on the middle joint again. Come over to the bottom of this wing. Click back. Tip of this wing. And then I'll come to the middle of the head. And then I think I'm just going to do that. And come back and there. Now, I know I haven't really been very careful adding my push pins around here, but life's too short. This butterfly is going to be tiny by the time I put it into a scene, so I think I'm happy with that. If you think I could rig it better, then let me know. Okay, so you have all these guys, options. No, I have never messed around with these. Maybe that'll be something worth messing about with as well. But not today, guys. Not today. Okay, so I've rigged it. So my next thing to do now is to add some time. So I'm going to add some keyframes in on the timeline for this. Now, once you do this, you can't add any more push pins with the acid warp tool, or you're basically going to break your animation. Okay, so this is the point of no return now for adding points to your rig here, the asset tool. Once we add another keyframe, the die is cast, unless you undo. Okay, I'm being dramatic, right? So let's add some time in. So let's just go with 25 frames, roughly a second. And I'm going to add a keyframe. So just long press keyframe in there. Okay. And then I want a classic tween in between these keyframes. So I'm going to right click, create a classic tween. And then I'm going to add 2 keyframes in the middle. Okay, now I want my first keyframe and my final keyframe to be identical because this animation is going to be looping. So if the first and last keyframes are not identical, then your loop isn't going to be seamless. You're going to get a bit of a glitch or a jump every time it loops back. So it's important that you, whenever you know that an animation is going to loop, it's important that you keep the first and final keyframes the same, okay? And then you'll get a seamless loop. Okay, so I'm just going to click here, roughly a third of the way through, add a keyframe, and then about 2/3 of the way through, add another keyframe. Okay, so again, I'm going to leave these 2 keyframes alone, first and last, and I'm going to do all my messing around with the 2 middle keyframes. So maybe I'll go for a kind of wings squished in on this keyframe and wings stretching out on this keyframe and see how it looks. So let's go for this keyframe first. Now, when you click on the keyframe, it'll show you the asset warp rig. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to grab these, maybe squish the wings in a bit. Okay. And see, it's starting already. It's kind of bending things in ways that I wasn't expecting. That's how I would explain my experiences with the asset warp tool, basically. Bending things in ways I was not expecting. There we go. Let's just squish that in. Oh, it's squashed his face. Okay. All right. And then let's bring that in as well. Oh, dear me. There we go. All right. Let's see how it goes. And then I'm going to do a bit of a wiggle with his antenna as well. Okay. And now I'm going to jump forward to my next middle keyframe. It's going to look normal again. And maybe I'll bring the antenna in a bit. And I'm just going to stretch the wings. He's reaching out. Reaching out, touching me. Touching you. Right. There we go. So it's pretty subtle. So let's have a look if it's too subtle. So let's whack my loop on. Loop is on. And thank you for the worst loop selection ever, as always. So make sure that you extend your loop to actually loop over. Why wouldn't it just... Anyway. Right, and let's hit play, and let's see what this looks like. Play. Okay. Well, I think the antenna worked really well. I think that the wings need to contract more. They need to be smaller. Oh, there's something really bizarre happening with that right-hand wing, isn't there? They need to be smaller, and maybe they need to be bigger when they're bigger, because it's not a hugely obvious animation at the moment. It's pretty subtle. So if that's going to be tiny, then I don't know how obvious that movement's going to be. So let's crush this in more. What a mess. Okay. Bring that in. There we go. And maybe I'll make this a bit more obvious as well. Okay. And then I mangled him. Poor chap. And then over here, I'm going to make these even more obvious, I think. So stretching out further. Oh, his face is going now. Okay. Righty-ho. So let's have a look now. So let's play. Yeah, I mean, that's working better for me. The animation's too slow. This needs to happen way quicker, doesn't it? So the nice thing about animate is that speeding stuff up isn't the end of the world. Okay, it's just a case of clicking to select a keyframe and then dragging it back closer to the keyframe before it. Doing the same. This one. Doing the same with the final one. It will leave you with empty frames at the end. There we go. See, we've got empty frames here, or still frames, I'd rather, not empty. So I'm just going to highlight them, right click, and remove those frames. There we go. Okay, and now we've got exactly the same going on, just the keyframes are closer together, so it's going to happen faster. Okay. So there is a lot that I'm not happy with about that, but I have to keep in mind that this is going to be tiny flying across my scene, so I need to get a grip and move on. Okay, so I've got that now. That's sorted. So let's add him to a scene. Okay, so I'll jump into my library. Go in. What should I go? Backdrop scene. Yeah, let's go for backdrop scene 1. As if there isn't enough going on here already. Okay, so add him into backdrop scene 1. Now, what this is that I could pop him behind the tents, but in front of the trees. It should be quite nice. So I'll try that. Okay, so I'm going to go new layer, Billy Bala, and I'm going to drop down between the tents and the trees. Yeah, okay. And I am going to draw in my Pilipala in here. So here we go, Pilipala, in you come. It's huge. Good. So I'll just grab the free transform tool, scale him down a bit. That works nice. Okay. And now I'm going to add a motion tween. So again, you could use a classic tween. You could use you could add a motion guide, add a classic motion guide. All of those things, I think, are more complicated than motion tween. I think motion tweens are an option more often than we realize. Yeah, so I'm just going to create a motion tween. Okay, and you can see there now that in the timeline, it's turned that lovely shade of gold. So I can just roughly say that, okay, so I'm only using this scene for, I know I'm only using this scene for 5 seconds. Okay, so really anything after that is going to be a waste. So what you can do is anytime within the scene, you can place your symbol where you want. So let's go right to 5 seconds here. And I'm going to drag him over to the other side here. Okay. And now you can see it's kind of giving me the path for our butterfly, for our Pilipala. Now, if I click halfway, he should be halfway. Now, if you wanted him to be halfway, that you want him to be a bit lower down, it's now, you see it shows us the path here. Okay. Now, you can also, if I'm right, selection tool and adjust the path with the selection tool. Oh, sorry. There's some super fast scrolling going on here. So there we go. You see, I can curve these lines. With the selection tool. Right, let's try that out. Now I'm going to press before playing. I'm going to get rid of the loop because look what it's trying to loop. It's trying to loop just that crazy little bit of the scene. Thanks, Mr. Loop. Okay, so press play now. And now we've got our butterfly flying between the trees and the tents. And whilst it's going, we've got that animation going. And now that we're looking at that, I think that our animation is still too slow. Okay. Now, obviously, the best thing about it working with symbols within symbols is that that can easily be fixed. Let's just fix it right now. I'm going to jump into my Pilipala symbol. Let's really expand the timeline here. And I'm just going to do the same as I did before. I'm really going to compress these keyframes together. There we go. Get rid of my empty frames, right click, remove frames. Okay. And let's go back to that backdrop scene 1. So here we go, backdrop scene 1. And everything else is going to stay the same with the path, and everything's going to stay the same. The only thing that's going to change now is the speed that loop is playing at within the scene. Okay, so let's see if that wings animation works better. Yeah, it works way better. Okay. I love the fact that it goes behind the tent and then pops back up. What if you want to do something more complicated? That's fine. Okay, say that I want it to loop the loop. So I can come to this kind of point here and say, okay, let's move him up. Okay, and then a little further along, I want him to loop back around. And then here, kind of scoop down. All right, you can see there that it's showing me the path. And again, I can go and I can grab that and I can tweak it as I want. Birthdays. There we go. Oh, birthdays. Just try, give that a go. Let's give it a go. Back to the beginning of the scene. Play. There he goes. Loop the loop. Slowing down a bit there. Okay. If you feel that things are happening too fast and then too slow, then again, you can just click on a pose, drag it out, okay, to separate things. If you feel that things are happening too quickly and then too slowly, just change the position of the poses of the keyframes on the tween, on the motion tween. Okay, let's try that now. We should get maybe, yeah, there we go. And it doesn't slow down too much when it goes behind the tent. Yeah, lovely. Now you can also, on these poses, change rotation. So that could be quite cool. Maybe at this point, I want him to be kind of doing that. And then at that point, more like this. Let's see. Yeah, I know he's gonna. Yeah, that works really well. Really cool. Okay, so let's have a look at that in the context of our whole scene. If I back out of backdrop scene 1, back to my main timeline, which is here. And oh, do you remember I got the camera in, so that's another factor. Yeah, we leave the camera on. Okay, so let's see.
Welcome, Camry.
All right, okay.
Relax by the fire.
There he is.
How about climbing some of our windy mountains?
Yeah, cool. So, other things we could mess around with is you could have, more than one of these. Okay. You could also use, let's jump back into backdrop scene 1 here. Okay. Here we go. Let's look at the properties. So in here, okay, we've got these different effects. So we've used a lot of the brightness effect, but you can also add tints. Okay, say that you wanted 2 butterflies and you want them to be different colors, then you could just add a tint to one of them. Okay, you choose your color here. So say I wanted a pink butterfly. Then I can say how pink do I want it? Just add that in. Okay, that works nice. Advanced. I'm not going to touch that. Sounds scary. Alpha then is how see-through it is, which I don't think you'd really want to see through butterfly. Maybe you could add a bit of alpha to the wings themselves. That'd be quite cool. You need to do that within its own symbol if you're going to do that. Yeah. So we haven't had any comments in about if you've used a lot of motion tweens. It is more fun than using a motion guide, I feel. Okay, let's hide this and try the same thing with a motion guide. Okay, so I'll add another layer and I'll call it Pilipala 2. And this time we're going to use a motion guide. Okay, so I'm gonna bring in my Pilipala and we'll do it the opposite direction so we can see them crossing. So bring the Pilipala in and tell you what, let's add color to this one. Okay, so I'm going to bring Pilipala in here and then properties, color effects, tint. There we go. Okay, so I've got my first keyframe and then I'm going to whack a final keyframe about there. Keyframe in. And on that keyframe, he's going to be over here. And then I'm going to right click, create a classic tween. So now we're just going to have this going on. Just moving along in a straight line. Okay, so a motion guide is kind of similar to what we just did with the motion tween, but you have kind of got more control of things. So I'm going to right click there and I'm going to add a classic motion guide. You can see it's added another layer for me here. And on this layer, I can draw with a pen. Oh no, not with a pen. Not with a pen. With what then? It's a pencil. Or is it just a brush? Somebody know? I'll just try the... Okay. Is it that? And then we can hook our symbol onto it. And it has done absolutely nothing. Yeah, I think I need a different tool to make the guide. I think. But then, no, it is hooking on. It is hooking on. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Okay. So I was telling you before, there we are. So on my two keyframes, on this keyframe and on this final keyframe here, I've hooked the, I'll show you again. I've hooked my butterfly onto this line. You see it kind of, oh, there, it clicks on. Click there. And now if I zoom out and scroll through my, yeah, but you see, it loses it sometimes. This is the huge annoyance that I've had with the classic motion guide. There we go. And now I've hooked it back on and it's behaving all of a sudden again now, but it's missed out that loop-the-loop. Okay. So if I hit play now, see, it does follow it. It's missed out the loop-the-loop. It's really annoying. Now, you might be wondering, hang on, well, I don't want this kind of big blue squiggle here, but you can just hide that. Okay. And then the it'll still follow it. So you can use that, which is the classic motion guide. But personally, I find that, here we go, here's our other Pilipala. I find that using a motion tween is less frustrating. Okay, because it takes a little bit longer, but it does just work. Whereas that classic motion guide, it's not working, is it? I suppose what's cool is that you can just try again. So on here, if I just select that, get rid of it. Let's try it with a different. Anybody know which tool works best with the classic motion guide? I thought it was like a pencil tool, but I can't find one. So much for that. Pencil tool. Plug that in. Okay, I got a pencil tool. Let's try the pencil tool. Anthony, I'll use the tween this time around. Oh yeah, so I'm to use the motion guide. Yeah, and I had a huge faff with it. Yeah, and you're gonna use the tween. Yeah, I used motion guides with the 11. Then since then found the motion tween kind of workaround. Let's try with this pencil tool. Okay, so making loop the loop. There we go. Okay. Now I think I found last time that smoothing out made a difference. So I'm selecting it, okay, because you can see I've got little bumps and wiggles in my shape. I think I found it latched on better when I smoothed it out. So I've selected it with the selection tool, and then down here underneath we've got smoothen and straighten. So I use the smoothen. I'm just going to keep clicking. Click, 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 click. You see, and it's just, there we go. Okay. Now let's try hooking the butterfly on. So I'll go to the first keyframe. And here you go. Now you should see the center rotation point hooking onto this line. There. Okay. Snaps on. There. Okay, he's on. So let's go to the final keyframe. Let's hook him on to the end. There, snap. He's on. Let's give it a whirl. Okay, hit play. Is he going to go around the loop? No, he's missed out that loop. Oh. So, a bit annoying, isn't it? He's missed out the loop. Yeah. So, again, I think it's a case of which job is going to do what you kind of want fastest. If you want to loop the loop, I think I'd use the motion tween. You know, using that pencil tool there now, I didn't have a terrible experience getting it to do a nice curve. So let's just do that again with the pencil tool. And forget the loop, but say that I want some kind of nice one of these, and then down under the tents like that. Okay, so no loop the loops, just a nice curve, and then I'm going to smoothen that up. No, not quite so much. Straight. No. Back. There we go. I went a bit nuts with the smoothing tool there. Okay, and then first keyframe, hook him on. Final keyframe, hook him on. Scrub it back and play. Yeah, and he's following that motion guide really nicely. That works really nicely. Okay, and then that's all I need to do is hide that motion guide. Let's try it again. Which one of those is the better animation? They look pretty similar, don't they? Which one is fastest to do? If you're just going for kind of a up and down loops, then I would up and down dips. Then I would say it's the classic motion guide. If you want the loops, then yeah, as Joe says, maybe don't have the lines crossing. Yeah, I think if you want to kind of loop the loop thing going on, it just doesn't like it at all, does it? It doesn't like it at all. It just kind of basically cuts out the loop and takes the shortest route. So the thing is, are you really going to be teaching both of those? techniques. You know, we do want to kind of arm them with as much techniques as possible, but then have we really got time to teach both those techniques that kind of get us to the same place? I don't think so. So yeah, I think with moving forward next year, I'll be not using the classic motion guide. There's too much that can go wrong with it, and there's too many frustrations. Although using the motion tween is slightly longer and maybe slightly fussier, you know, getting that loop the loop was a bit of a fuss for me, wasn't it? But I think once you've taught the concept, the kids will be able to get to that independently easier than using the classic motion guide, which if it works is great. If it doesn't, you're going to have a sea of hands up needing help. So I think I'd rather teach them something that maybe takes a little bit longer, but that they will be able to do independently. And also the motion tween is something that, you know, is going to be handy in a lot of instances. Just things like clouds moving and, you know, a lot of things like that. So I think for me, although maybe it isn't the very best looking solution, I think a motion tween is the way I'm going to go ahead with this. All right, cool. So just to recap what we've done today, we've had a bit of a focus on the fluid brush tool. Okay, so we obviously created our butterfly design using the fluid brush tool. We really played around with gradients today, and you know, I think it really makes a big difference to your design. What's nice, of course, in Animate is that we can always do that later on. So you can just use block colors to get your shapes up, and then just use the gradient with the paint bucket tool later on to add some kind of depth to your designs. So I was really happy with that. We then messed about. You can tell me how successful it was with the asset warp tool. Just get out. I mean, looking at it there on that frame, it looks dreadful, doesn't it? It looks horrendous. And then this one isn't much better either. But, you know, that's what I was saying. When we see it then out in the context of a scene, we can't see that those butterflies are squashing about. You know, they're fine. It looks fine. So yeah, that's my experience with the asset warp tool. I'm really interested, Joe, to have a go at actually animating a character with it. And you know, maybe we can have a look at that in another session in the future where I can mess about with that. But it's not something I've done. So, but I'm happy to be the guinea pig and make a mess of things. Right. I hope this has been useful. I'm sorry I haven't had Dom here, keeping us on our toes with some witty banter. I hope you're having some game time. It's not really happening for me yet this term. After half term, it's still flat out, isn't it? It's crazy. But, you know, we're getting there. And I think we're all in maybe a less stressful situation looking ahead to next year. My year 10s are in a better place than year 11 were at this time last year. And we also get a kind of head start with year 9. So we've just started, our year 9s have just moved up into their options. So I've got next year's year 10 groups now for the next half term in the old year 11 timetable. So we're just messing around in Animate, just drawing stuff at the moment, not animating anything, just drawing stuff. Getting used to the merge drawing mode, object drawing mode, fluid brush tool, and just using a rectangle and pulling it into whatever shapes we want. Joe, okay, I'll have a look and see what I can sort out. That'd be awesome, Joe. I don't know if you want to email something over or if you just want to join us next week. That'd be cool. You could join in with us on the live stream. Just share your screen, whatever you fancy. Okay, right. Thanks a lot for joining me, guys. I really appreciate it. It blows my mind that you take time at the end of the school day to just come and join in and have a look at what I'm messing about with you. And I hope it's useful. Hope it continues to be useful. And I'll see you on the next one. Hwyl fawr, ffrindiau. See you soon. Toodaloo.